Hey everyone, I wanted to give a quick tutorial on an issue that's been annoying me for such a long time. Now it's taken me a week. Basically, when you plug in a hard drive, an external hard drive, your computer won't boot up, and that's because in the BIOS settings, your USB is being recognized before your actual hard drive or your solid state drive on your computer. And so what it's doing is it's detecting that it's got no Windows software on it, and so it's not booting up. Now I came across a number of issues on this in terms of trying to find stuff online, and I couldn't get into my BIOS settings to change it. So a couple of things came across. The first thing was to, if you've already seen that the settings for the UEFI boot up, which you can access through your Windows settings and then go to recovery and backup. If that's not worked, one of the other options that people were saying in order to enter your BIOS is choose what happens when your power button comes on and then deactivate this turn on fast start up. Again, that wasn't working for me to get into my BIOS. One of the reasons is because on your computer, what you need to do is determine whether your computer is UEFI or BIOS. In order to do that, you can hit Windows and R and then type into the box msinfo.32, and if on your settings here its BIOS mode is legacy, you won't be able to enter your BIOS settings by doing the start menu settings and then going into recovery and then starting up that way. So what you actually need to do is you need to find the button that activates your BIOS settings, and one of the things that I found was you can't actually do it when on my computer. If you do a shutdown, you have to actually go into your computer and you have to do a restart. And when you do restart, what you then need to do, for me it was enter. I was hitting enter key constantly to change the order of the actual settings so that I could get into the BIOS. And eventually it did it, and then it gave me access to it. And then I changed the order in the BIOS settings so that I could actually boot up my hard drive first, and I could boot up my USB second. Now when I went in and changed the order in the startup menu, I'll show you that in a second. If I just so what I want to be doing as it's booting down, as soon as it boots down, you just want to be hitting that key to get you into your BIOS settings. Now that could be F1, F2, escape, delete. You don't know what that's going to be, so you might have to try it a few times. One of the things I found was, even though I was pressing it all the time, it wasn't letting me in sometimes, so I had to do it like quite a few times to get into the BIOS settings, and that was one of the really frustrating things. So hopefully it will let me in now. I keep tapping the enter key. There you go. So you can see I've got an option there, and then I hit F1 to get into my settings. Then what I did was I changed a couple of things and it still didn't work. It still wasn't booting from like when I had a hard drive in. So the first thing I did, I went to startup, and you can see in the primary boot sequence here that it's got USB, HDD, and I changed the order of those so that it was booting from my solid state drive here before my hard drive. That didn't work. So I changed the automatic boot sequence in there. That didn't work. What I actually had to do was go to devices, USB setup, and I had to disable the USB legacy support. So two key things really here. Once you get into the BIOS settings, you can do that, but if you can't get into the BIOS settings, remember that I had difficulty for like a week trying to get in, trying all sorts of different things, but you've really got to use a restart on your computer and then be tapping that key. And what I would do is try it with escape, try it with F1, try it with F2, F3, F12, delete, and then enter. For me it was enter, which was like the fourth option that I tried. So hopefully that's helped you if you can't boot up with having an external USB hard drive or disk plugged in, because now I can reboot with my hard drive plugged in as well. So it's made life a lot easier.